A very warm welcome to the eighth episode of the podcast of the World Wind Energy Association, the World of Wind Power. My name is Stefan Gsänger, and it's my pleasure that today I have a guest with whom I can speak about a topic about which we have not talked so far, and this is small wind. Small wind turbines, which means usually wind turbines with a rated capacity of, we use a definition 100 kilowatts, some say up to 50 kilowatt, which is how also the large wind turbine started. But today it's its own market segment. And there is a number of companies which are, some of them very successful, serving this market, and they are offering such products. And it's my pleasure that today I have as my guest one of our members, a company that is producing and marketing such small wind turbines. My pleasure to welcome Ulrich Høgenhaven from the Danish company Viking Wind. Welcome, Ulrich.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Ulrich, you are managing director. We've been knowing each other and working together within our small wind section um, um, for a couple of years, but not everybody may be aware of who you are and your company. Maybe first about you personally. When did you get involved in small wind or in wind energy in general? How did you start?
I started out in the wind business almost 30 years ago now with the big wind. Our big wind at that time it was 400 and 600 kilowatt turbines, so it's quite a while. For the past 10 years, I have been working with small wind. When I came to Viking Wind, yeah, a little more than 10 years ago. The reason why I came to small wind was actually one of my last projects on big wind was in South Africa, where we could see all this power out a lot of times. So the farmers were standing there without any electricity. And even though we were putting up big turbines, they were not able to get the power to the small farms. So that was when I got the idea to look at small wind. And I got the opportunity to come and work for Viking Wind. So yeah, a little more than 10 years ago.
Well, that's an interesting story how you started, because we are always discussing where small wind can be applied. So that's how you got into it. You already found a place or places where you think it would make sense to have small wind turbines. Let's later go back to that topic, where exactly small wind makes most sense. But maybe then again, can you explain a little bit about your company? What products are your company? What are you offering?
Yeah, we are offering a Viking 25 kilowatt turbine. It has been developed quite a lot since we started out. It is now with variable speed with inverters, so we can connect to any grid and optimize to the specific position where the turbines is standing. It's a small company with only 4 employees at the moment. And we do mainly maintenance, and of course, we still develop on our turbines. We are developing hybrid solutions also, where we can see opportunities for that in rural areas with combination of wind and solar and batteries for that matter, or even wind diesel projects. We also have some of those running.
Okay, very interesting. I mean, I think that's quite typical that many of the small wind companies, they are really still not so big, and still very innovative. Now you are looking, of course, you're working from Denmark. What's currently the market there in Denmark and maybe Europe? Are these the markets you're looking at?
Well, in 22, we got a lot of attraction while the power prices went up due to the gas from Russia, etc. So we have sold a bit of turbines here last year, but it's fading out again. So we are looking at export to mainly Japan, trying to use the last incentive they have there. And also we are looking into rebuilding Ukraine, for instance. We participate in a lot of meetings on rebuilding Ukraine, where we see the small wind could go in and help the farmers out there instead of big utilities where the infrastructure will be bombed or whatever. Yeah, they can use the power locally. We're also looking at more in the South Asia markets for islands and etc. Rural areas.
Your home market, Denmark, you said that's at the moment not such a strong demand.
No, we only do maintenance on the turbines.
Mhm. Ukraine is very interesting because you may also know we have this Renewables for Ukraine initiative where we're trying to we have actually already provided, that's mainly solar systems for schools, hospitals, and maybe that's something we should also talk together, not in this podcast, but to see what can be done, because certainly, I mean, a small wind turbine is a bit more challenging to install than PV. Maybe that also defines a little bit the market situation, but I think it should be seen as an option. How do you see this relation between solar PV and small wind? When we started working on small wind, now almost 15 years ago, there was kind of a similar price level. Of course, solar PV has become much cheaper.
Much cheaper, yes.
You see that as a problem, as a competitor? You'd say no, small wind has different market.
Of course, it's a competitor, but I see a combination of the two could be beneficial. Also, reducing the use of batteries if you use both wind and solar.
Mm-hmm.
So, and today batteries are still expensive. So, but the prices for small wind hasn't gone down as much as it has for PV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we never had a big market like there was I think in China like 10 years ago where they sell like tens of thousands per year, but we've never been close to selling in the gigawatt range in small wind.
No.
And like your company, the number of units that you've been, if some clients asking you the references, how many units?
We have 75 units, most of them in Denmark, but also in Argentina. It was a wind diesel project erected in 2013, running very good, saving 40,000 liters of diesel every year for a small village, not connected to the grid. We have a couple in France, one in Norway. We have one in Greenland where we test for cold climate. It has been running for 4 or 5 years now, and we are hoping to get into the small villages in Greenland where they use diesel generated power.
So your company, you have the know-how not only of the small wind turbine, which is your own product, but the system, no? So you can also kind of install the system, as you just said.
Yes, exactly.
So that means that someone who lives in a farmhouse, which is remote without grid connection, they could approach you and you could suggest them a system which would provide the power that they need.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And also one of the benefits with our turbine is the size and the easy transport and installation. We can have 3 complete turbines in a 40-foot container, including tower and blades.
And then the 25 kilowatt, which I'm not an engineer, I'm a political scientist, but I try always to get an understanding, of course, of what that means for a normal household. That is usually more than what a household needs.
Yes, it is. It is. Here in Denmark, it varies a lot. It's all depending on where you put it up with the wind conditions. It can produce from 95,000 kilowatt hours at maximum, or on a good side, and around 20-25 on a not so good side. So everything in between, even though it's the same turbine, but the site place is very important.
That's indeed something I think really very important, and we come to that point I also wanted to ask you about. Because sometimes I'm really surprised. I'm traveling around, and I was a while ago in Düsseldorf, which is the capital of my home state, North Rhine-Westphalia, and they put a small wind turbines surrounded by huge buildings. So when I see this, I just wonder who has done this.
Yeah.
Now, of course, this is very obvious that that does not make sense at all.
No.
But people who are interested in say, yeah, I mean, there are quite many people I know who say, okay, why not looking into small wind? What would you advise them? How do they come to the right decision? What would you, if somebody gives you a call, how do you guide them?
We normally ask them how much is their own consumption.
Mhm.
Because it doesn't make sense to put up a 25 kilowatt turbine if you only use 10,000 kilowatt hours a year, for instance. That's the first. They need to be around at least 30,000 kilowatt hours to buy one of our turbines. Secondly, we look into Google to see where they are placed, and also we use a program called My Wind Turbine, where we can actually calculate how much the turbine could produce on that specific site.
Mhm.
It's like they use the same data as on the big turbines, just it's called My Wind Turbine. It's free, or not free, but it's on the internet. You can do a rough calculation for free, but if you want a specific calculation, it costs, I don't know, 60 euros or something like that.
So in
So
relation to the investment, which will probably be 5, maybe 6 digit, it should be worthwhile to invest those 60 euros.
yeah, definitely. Otherwise, you will have to do some measurements for at least a year on the site, and this is actually quite accurate. I think it's around plus minus 10-15% normally.
Mhm. Now, that is, of course, really crucial to know how much wind there is. So you wouldn't say it's always necessary to do a measurement. You say that there are some tools which are good enough. I mean,
Yes,
I would
definitely.
certainly, if I talk to a professional like you, I would trust that you say that. But how would you say
It was
that?
developed with the DTU in Denmark and EMD, also a Danish company that's very professional in doing wind measurements.
Mhm. That is indeed very interesting and good to know because it saves money, no? So we're talking about really not huge investment for this. Another aspect that we've always been discussing, of course, as well, is which turbine is the right one. Now, you say you have a 25 kilowatt turbine, and you've already said that you might even tell potential clients that your turbine might be too big. But the size is just one aspect of it. The other aspect, I think, really important is the quality of the turbine, because we know that there are quite many, I think Paul Guy used to call them charlatans,
Yeah.
many of them using also like technology where you see not that normal concept. What's your answer if somebody, potential clients, ask you about your turbine and why can or assure them that it's good quality?
Yeah, well, first of all, we are certified to the IEC standard, and has been for many years now. And secondly, we buy mainly standard components. Only few of the components are special built for us, and we buy them here in Europe. Generators from Germany. We have our gearbox from Italy, inverters from UK, even though it's a Japanese company now, but still made in Europe, I would say. So yeah.
I think the keyword that you used, you have a certification, so that what your turbine has been certified.
Yeah,
Some of our audience, of course, knows what it is, but those who are really new in this means that an independent body has tested and is certifying that the quality and the safety of your product is good
exactly. Yes.
or in line with the international standards. I think that's especially important.
Yes. Yeah.
How do you see this? I mean, of course, you should never speak badly about direct competitors, but you have an overview of the market. How important this certification, do you see this certification and standards are? Because I know that there are products on the market which are really a risk for sometimes health of people who have
Yeah.
not gone through such certification.
Exactly. So I think it's really important that we use these standards also for safety, mainly for safety reasons. We use them, at least here in Denmark. That's why we certify the turbine, is for safety, for people around the surroundings and etc. So that I think that's very important. The issue on certification when you use the same standard here in Europe, it always or sometimes it varies from country to country anyway. So you have to get it certified for special one MCS for UK. We have uh, what's called DIBT for Germany, I think it is. And then of course we have the Danish or the European. If we go to US, they have a different. Japan, they have a different. So every time we need to go to a new market, we have to get the turbine certified over again, and that's pretty expensive for a small turbine like ours.
I can
So if we
imagine.
could get some more, I don't know, redundancy in the certification, that could be nice worldwide.
Yeah, we as an association, we've been trying to work on that.
Yeah,
It's really challenging because, frankly speaking, this topic of small wind has been a little bit under the radar also of international organizations, and it's certainly important to talk about what small wind can do. And that's one reason why we're having this podcast today. So Len, let's go back to, you've already mentioned some of the markets where you started talking about South Africa. You also mentioned Greenland. That's of course quite opposite countries, not only on the planet, but one
yeah.
is in a country where there's a lot of sunshine, and in Greenland you have the long winter. So
Yeah.
where do you see the kind of application where small wind makes most sense?
I would say it would be rural areas with the mini grids where they have either solar or diesel generated power. Small islands or big islands for that matter also. So I think yeah. Also, if they have a lot of power outs, as they do in South Africa or Africa,
Mhm.
so I think that could be a good place to start.
And then, of course, when we talk about solar, which in some African countries not be requires so much storage because you can have every day safe in your batteries.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
in Greenland, you have very long winter and hardly any solar energy to store.
Not during
Then
wintertime, no, that's dark all day. But that's normally in Greenland they use diesel generated, and we
mm,
can work together with diesel generators with our turbine to
mm.
run them as low load generators, as we call it, so they won't use so much diesel.
And you already also mentioned the power price, which has an impact on the demand on that you have noticed.
Yeah,
Now the power prices, especially 2 years ago, when after Russia started their invasion of Ukraine,
yeah.
went up all over Europe, probably not only in Europe. Um, can you see what is kind of the benchmark from when on there is the demand for the small wind turbines? What range would that be?
I would say we would be around 25-30 euro cents
Mm,
per kilowatt hour.
mm. Which is still what I think many Europeans are paying for the power, even more. Huh?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's already kind of defined quite well where there are the markets for small wind. And we know that we just spoke also before we started now recording that there is some parts of the world now small wind is really performing well. In the United States, there's this Inflation Reduction Act,
Yeah,
which is really bringing new momentum into this market. What do you see are the main, well, if we speak about the negative sides, what keeps small wind at the moment back in other parts of the world?
I think that is the price for quality turbines.
Mm,
During COVID-19, the prices for material went up quite a lot. So it hasn't been any cheaper the past couple of years, that's for sure. So that is what we are struggling with still, is the high prices on materials and components.
And you've already mentioned that quality is for you very important and keeping those international standards. So that is another
Yes.
factor which doesn't allow to reduce the prices a lot. What about permitting? Because I hear a lot of complaints that permitting rules for small wind are sometimes as strict as for large wind turbines, and it takes long. Or like in a country like my home country, Germany, every state has different rules.
Yeah,
How do
yeah.
you see that?
Luckily here in Denmark, it's not that difficult. It's a building permit like you have to build any other kind of building. So it's around 5-6 months or so. Then you have the building permit.
Oh,
So
that's
that's
good.
pretty easy. And then we have for the grid connection, we have a so-called positive list for inverters connected to the grid. And we were one of the first ones to get on that positive list in 17, I think it was. So that's very nice. Uh,
Okay.
Also, yeah, I'm a member of the advisory board of Danish Energy Agency, so I'm a bit close to all the regulations here in Denmark, and I'm representing the small wind, so we have some kind of influence on what is required. So we can move hopefully in the right direction.
So we should tell other countries to look at Denmark and learn from, especially, I think that's really impressive if you get the permit in half a year. That sounds really still reasonable.
Yeah, we
Um,
tried in Germany actually, and I think it took 2 years and we didn't even get it. So we said, okay, forget the German market. It takes simply too long.
no, it's very state has different rules. So yeah, there's
Yeah,
might be
exactly.
successful in one state, but then not in the other state. Okay, so there we've clearly identified that's something that needs to be addressed. And then if in a country like Greenland or South Africa, is that also something relevant?
No, no. Well, Greenland they have more or less the same rules as Denmark. South Africa, I don't think they have any regulations on small wind standing close to the farmhouses. Actually, we just got a new reseller in Slovenia, Czechia, and Hungary, and they would like us to advise their municipalities on how to do the regulations, taken from the Danish regulations. So that's what we are working on also to influence new markets on how to regulate the building permit, grid connections, etc. To learn from our good experience.
So if someone listens to us now and has an interest in small wind, wherever they are on the world, they can contact you.
Yeah,
Maybe you can also mention your website is Viking
vikingwind.energy.
vikingwind.energy, and they can get advice, some technical advice, how to choose the right spot, whether it makes sense, but then also if there is a need to convince the authorities that small
Yes.
wind is something that makes sense, then you would also be happy. And of course, as World Wind Energy Association, we would also kind of support these
Yeah,
endeavors.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Very good. So again, someone comes to you, so you are interested in clients. You already said that you are active in you've already mentioned several continents,
Yeah, yeah.
Africa, also Latin America and Asia. So you're open for such requests?
Yes, we are always open for new markets and new resellers. Of course, we have some requirements for new sellers also. They have to have some kind of experience with electrical and hopefully also PV. And a workforce that can be trained. We have training courses here in Denmark, and they were actually, if they buy a couple of turbines, they can come here and build the turbine, so they know every little bolt and screw in the turbine before they get it to their own country.
Okay, so all that training you can also do. It's
Yes.
interesting you mentioned PV, would make sense. So you see really the combination of PV and small wind, which
Yeah,
makes
we see a lot of interest with the companies doing PV, also looking for small wind that was in Pakistan also, and as I mentioned last in Slovakia and Czechia. So I think we will see that more and more, a combination of these two.
So what do you see? How do you see the future of small wind? We've had that, we've already mentioned, we've really had not so easy times like 10 years ago or so when suddenly the competition with solar changed, but that situation is now stable. Do you see now growth coming for small winds? Do you see any new momentum coming?
I see some new momentum coming for small wind due to people want to have own consumption more or less everywhere, and also the energy price is going up and down. You never know what the price is. So I think for farmers and small industry in the countryside, I think they will look more into be self-sufficient.
Yeah, I think that indeed is a general trend, and I'm also totally convinced that is the market for small wind, which really is then very well complementary also to those larger grid-connected wind turbines. Your company, how do you see the development of your company? You're going to do more international, focus on Europe, and
yeah, we are going more international. As mentioned, a lot of in Asia is going on in Asia at the moment. So, and also some European countries, but mainly Asia. Yeah.
Very good. So I think that's been very interesting to hear about your prospects, about your product. Something, if we've already said, somebody who would like to contact you, please contact at vikingwind.energy.
Yeah.
That was the website. I thank you very much for this very interesting conversation. I'm sure that people will find that interesting. And I wish you especially a lot of success for the future years and for small wind in general.
Yeah, thank you. I hope so too.
With this, thank you also to our audience. Goodbye, and until the next episode. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.